Kendo Podcast episode 180. In this episode, I want to talk about how to use Shinogi that I learned at Kodansha's Keigo-Guide. Kendo Podcast by Hiro Mafuji from Kendo-Guide.com. Thank you for listening. This podcast is about Japanese martial arts Kendo for Kendo lovers and supported by Kendo enthusiasts through Patreon.com. Thank you for your support, guys. Please visit Kendo-Guide.com for more Kendo information and how to support Kendo-Guide.com. Welcome to Kendo Podcast 180. Man, 180. That's a lot of episodes. Anyway, today I talked about a lot of things in the last episode. If you haven't listened about how to act or how to behave at your shinsa, which is exam, please listen to it. And in this episode, I want to talk about how to take the center with using Shinogi. Now, this is for Kodansha. Kodansha is usually 6th dan and 7th dan, but this Kodansha Keigo-Guide was for 4th dan, 5th dan, 6th dan, and 7th dan. So, if you're lower, it may be a bit difficult, but this is very important for everyone to know. So if you are not a 4th dan up, still, I want you to listen to it. Now, if you know what Shinogi is, that's great. If you don't know, Shinogi is the side of the easy way to describe the side of the katana. So which is the side of shinai as well, right? So if you know blade area of shinai, which is the opposite side of tsuru. Tsuru is a string on the shinai. And okay, where's Shinogi? The side. But if you have to use side of the shinai, what happens? You turn your shinai too much, right? Because shinai is round, so if you turn your shinai too much, I have to use the side of shinai, you're thinking, and then turn. What do you think it happens? Your blade part of your shinai is facing to the right. You want to keep the shinai relatively straight, which is blade down. Okay, so because you have to strike right with the blade part. Now, because of the difference between shinai and the real sword, which is very thin, right? So there is a bit difference of usage, right? In usage. Now, so if you think Shinogi is the corner of the side piece of shinai and the bottom piece of shinai, which is the blade part. There is a corner, right? We have 4 corners in shinai. So left bottom and right bottom of the shinai is Shinogi. Let's think like that. Okay, so that way you don't have to turn your shinai to the sideways. You know what I mean? So again, the shinai and real blade are different. So we have to think, how can I use shinai like the real sword? Which is impossible because you don't really cut through anything with shinai. But still, we have to follow toho, the method of principle of the sword, right? So that is very important. How can we use our shinai as we use shinken, which is the real sword? Now, if we think about the corners, bottom corners of shinai as shinogi, we can use shinai very well. Okay, so that was an eye-opening. Okay, and another, this is very, I don't know if the concept is very advanced for many people or not. when your opponent comes in, what happens? Are you going to block it? Block as in you're going to lift your hands above your head or hands up so you can block, or what are you going to do? Now, a lot of people, advanced people, are required to, if they are in a semi back your opponent without lifting your hands up. So you need to have, it's not, if you just take a step forward only, right, without doing anything, you will be struck, I think, because your opponent is putting pressure on you and then you just step in without doing anything. That is a good opportunity for them to strike you, right? And of course, in exam, and you might do menkai shito, but in exam, what judges are looking at is when are you going to strike you? When are you going to strike your opponent? So is that a good opportunity to strike, or it was a bad opportunity to strike? Even when you get menkai shito or counterattack, it doesn't mean the opportunity was not good, right? Simply because your opponent was good. Maybe they could do menkai shito or counterattack on you. So if you think if you think it was good opportunity, it's a good opportunity to strike, gotta go. That's how we should train in Jigeko as well. Anyway, so what I learned is, a lot of things are like, we've known this for a long time, but we just didn't see it from that perspective. So it's a really like, oh yeah, right. So it's not new information to you, but realization makes a big difference in Kendo. You gotta realize, and you're gonna have to go, oh right. So this, you have to have this great impression. You gotta be moved by this fact. You have to realize. If you take, with taking center is to attack, we always think like that, right? But if you take the center, you don't get struck. They can't strike you because you're taking the center, right? This is very simple, and we all know that, but a lot of people don't do it because simple. We always want to attack. That's why we always think about taking the center when we attack. But when your opponent comes in, we take the center. With the shinogi of your shinai, what happens? They can't strike you. Right? So that realization, of course, I knew it, but now I learned it from Kato sensei, 8th dan, and he is, the way he explains really sank in. Okay, so yeah, when your opponent comes in and when it's not good timing, right, and you just simply have to take the center back with the shinogi. Now, do not push down, don't cover your opponent's sword with your shinai. When that happens, you can't, the kensaki of your shinai will be off the center. That means your opponent will see that you're vulnerable, so your opponent can strike you. What we should be doing instead is he used the word noru, okay, and I talked about the concept of noru in the different episode, so I'm not going to talk about it in detail, but you just have to go over, not pushing down. It's not covering your opponent by turning your sword totally sideways or pushing your opponent's sword away from the center. It's keeping your sword as center as possible, but using the shinogi of your shinai So it's kind of lock your sword down. Now I also have a video of this noru. I think I don't think it's for the members of Kendo for Life at Patreon. You have the video. I mean, it's not yet. I think I am going to upload it soon. So, and then after that, maybe I'm going to upload onto the YouTube. So I don't, for the members will see it soon. Now, I didn't make this video after I learned the concept of noru from Kato sensei. Noru is not the new concept. It's been always out there in Kendo, but and I knew how to do it, but the explanation from Kato sensei is like an eye opener. Right, if I explain this noru, concept of noru like this, people will understand. Plus, oh, okay, this is how I should be doing. Use the corner of the shinai. And that is kind of, I probably knew it. I've been doing it, but this clear explanation in detail. It's not detail. It's not detail. It is detail. It's like clear, specific. Yeah, specific explanation. How to do it with where of your shinai you should be using it. That is the clear, specific advice on this noru. Makes my kendo a little bit different. Of course, you can't rely on this all the time, but this is very important. How to take center. It's not simply keep your shinai in the center, right in front of you, which is the basic. All right, basic. You have to have your shinai right in front of you, right? That's one. And you got to keep the center, not only using the side of the shinai, but also the corner of the shinai. And then you have to lock. Use the corner of a shinai. You use the concept of noru, which will lock your opponent's shinai down. Okay, so they cannot execute their strike. So that was like, wow, and I've been practicing that. It works, especially when these people who know how to, the importance of center. If those people, your opponents, know how important the center is, they're not gonna strike you because simply they know they can't. Because they can't. They lost their center, and your opponent has center now, so they won't be able to strike it. Now, from then, when are you gonna strike? This is another thing. You take the center, great, but it doesn't mean you can strike anytime you want because your opponent is alert, right? So, when is the good opportunity to strike? When your opponent is just about to strike, debana. When your opponent is retreat, going backwards. When your opponent is, there are many more, but three. If I must pick three, I pick debana, and when our opponent is retreating, and when our opponent is frozen, itsuki. Okay, so those are three important. Can I pick one more? When they are blocking. So, and also when your opponent is done striking, that's another good opportunity to strike. But that is for if you're a beginner or if you're a Shodan Nidan Sandan, you should practice that. But anyway, so if from taking the center, debana is very good, and also when your opponent is blocking and retreating, and also itsuki is very, very important for us to strike. Itsuki is they're frozen. They cannot do anything about your strike. Okay, they wanted to, but they couldn't move. So it's a bit different from I got you, even though when your opponent when your shinai is right in front, tsukiing me, it's kind of not good. So itsuki is your opponent is kind of, oh man, he got me kind of when I'm just about to kind of mentally you froze. It's not like it's very different from when you're going against higher grade holders like 7th dan 8th dan sensei. You might think you get them, but they're not doing. They're taking your center. They're simply going, no, it's not good. It's not time for you to strike. Maybe you can get a point in Shiai, but in Keiko, they go, no, that wasn't good enough. That wasn't I was fully ready for your strike, and I'm fully aware of your strike, and you just came for it, and I just didn't do anything about it. I didn't do anything about it. Versus I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything about it. It's different, right? So you have to create. Itsuki is a state of your mind that it's coming, but you couldn't do anything about it. So that is what itsuku really means. Mentally, you're frozen. So I think that's very important for us to strike on when our opponent is in the state of itsuki. But anyway, so by taking the center, those things happen. So you have to another thing you have to create is you're going to create a debana. So you have to, if you keep taking the center, they're not going to strike you because they know they can't strike. So you have to let them strike when you want to get debana. Is it clear? I think if maybe it's pretty hard for us, some of you, but if you have good center, all right, if you take the center pretty good, they can't strike you. And what happens here is if you loosen, if you guys, okay, now I'm gonna give you my center, so come and get me, then they're gonna come and get you, and then you're gonna strike them, okay? Or taking the center and your opponent is kind of going backwards, right? And then sometimes your opponent, you take another step forward, and your opponent is going, kind of itsuki and retreat at the same time. Your opponent's upper body is going backwards, right? And then strike, because they can't do anything. So their body, by moving their upper body, only upper body, not with the feet, okay? No footwork's involved, upper body, okay? Now, they're physically frozen, okay? The only upper body moves, and then you go, strike, okay? And that's another thing, another way to strike. I think, I have a video about it. It's coming up on YouTube after I upload it to the members area. So please stay tuned. And also, what was that? Blocking. But blocking, as you put pressure and then your opponents block. But when you block, you don't want to strike where they're blocking, right? You strike them where they're not blocking. So if they block kote, like kote suriyage, you go men, for example. Okay? So, well, anyway, putting pressure, and then from there, what you're going to do is you can put more pressure by taking a step in a little bit, all right? Or you loosen your seme. So that means you take your shinai a little bit off the center, away from the center, so your opponent think, oh, now is the time, and he's gonna come to get you. Now at that time you strike. That's debana. Okay, and also what else? Yeah, when they kind of make them block, so you now taking the center. Now I'm going to strike a kote, but no man. It's kind of putting pressure, like make them think that you're going for something. They think they're not, just so like body movement. I'm going to your kote, so you shift your body to your left a little bit, but strike men instead. So you can do from taking center. You can do many things by shinai movements, body movements, and also you have to have a lot of kiai. That's the first thing you have to have, right? So that was kind of eye opener. So I'm be talking about more than 20 minutes now, so I'm gonna stop it. So I hope this will help your Kendo study, especially when you're going for 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th dan. I think this is very useful, and we must learn this. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next podcast. I would like to send special thanks to patrons for their constant support through patreons.com/Kendo for Life.